Good morning and welcome to Big Bets on Campus Live. It is 10 a.m. and we are giving you our best bets for today's slate of college football games. I'm your host, Stephanie Otey. Alongside me, Mr. Arkansas with the hometown win. I wish I could say the same about my Buckeyes, but our very own senior writer, Collin Wilson, along with his partner in crime on the Big Bets on Campus podcast. He's also referred to as the Prime Minister of Degenerate Nation, Stuckey. And finally, of course, we have our college football insider, Brett McMurphy, always has a scoop on all things college football, so you know you got to tune in every Saturday morning. But if you do miss anything, everything we talk about from picks, data, all of that will be available on the award-winning Action Network app. And stick around for our Moneyline round robin later in the show. Stuckey and Collin were cracking us up as they were preparing for this one. So I'm very excited to see what they came up with. But first things first, Collin, you were already talking about it. The board is completely lit up. What are the numbers looking like for you this morning?
Yeah, the board is lit up for week 3, and it's not some really appealing teams. Buffalo plus 14.5. That's down to plus 13.5 as they host Coastal. And that really fits a theme this week. These double-digit favorites that are going on the road, those have not been successful in cash tickets so far this year. So Buffalo is definitely one to watch. Duke at plus 3 is getting hammered this morning, down to 2.5 against Northwestern and continuing to go down. And then crazy enough, Bowling Green, who's covered against South Alabama and Tennessee, has gone from a -1 favorite to a +2 underdog against FCS Murray State. So a lot of racers money in the market. And then as every Saturday morning has Army total dropping, which is expected against UConn. UConn has not scored a point against an FBS team this year, 48.5 down to 47 on the board. And then Kansas. People are waking up this morning, getting out of bed, and they're betting Kansas. A number that was plus 18 is down to plus 17 against Baylor. And Georgia Tech. Simple win against Kennesaw State is enough for people to wake up on Saturday and bet them against Clemson, plus 28.5 down to 27. It is a wild board with some dirty names this morning.
Good stuff. But all right, let's jump right into this. Off the top, let's get into our best bets. But first, we do have to check out the leaderboard. Collin, Mr. Arkansas, still leading the pack. Brett coming in second, and Stuckey, maybe you should give a little more faith in Collin's Razorbacks. Who do you got today, Stuck?
Yeah, I just want to know, I guess we're not calling Brett Mr. 6-0 anymore, but also with Collin and Arkansas, we're not showing any love. We're going Georgia Southern as our favorite bet today, plus 23-ish, I think it is right now. Look, number one, it's an awful spot for Arkansas. They're obviously coming off that huge win against Texas that Collin, I think, is still celebrating. On deck, they have Texas A&M, then 2 more ranked SEC opponents. So it's a potential flat spot. But I also think that Georgia Southern is undervalued here. They're getting their quarterback back who can actually run their option offense. They didn't have him for the first 2 games because he was academically ineligible. And it's just difficult to cover this large of a number against a slow-paced option offense. Here's a stat for you. Georgia Southern, Army, Navy, Air Force, since 2005, when catching over 20 points, they are 30-9 against the spread. That's 77%. Sorry, Collin. We are going with Georgia Southern. Gotta.
Yeah, I can't argue with the spot. I mean, it absolutely is a sandwich spot. I think Stuckey is completely correct there, and the number is a tad high, so I can't fault him for that. I'm going to pivot into another double-digit underdog at home, and it's the biggest one on the board. It's Florida plus 14.5 is my best bet. I'm going to save it for our Havoc round, but there are some serious issues here that need to be addressed with Alabama.
Yeah, Stuckey, you can call me Mr. 8-3 from now on. My best bet's Arizona State minus 3.5. This is as much a play on Arizona State as it is a play against BYU. Look, BYU still celebrating, ending their 9-game losing streak to hated rival Utah. And before the season, this may have been a game that Arizona State overlooked. But now BYU's 2-0 against the Pac-12. They're headed to the Big 12. The Cougars will get the full focus from Jaden Daniels and company. Give me Herm Edwards and the Devils -3.5.
Well, there's plenty more actionable spots to look at today. That's right. It's time for our Havoc Round, where we analyze some of the biggest spots on today's slate. All right, here we go. First up, we have an SEC showdown with Alabama as a 14.5-point favorite over Florida at the Swamp. Brett, the number has been moving in Florida's favor, but what do you think about it now?
Stuckey, I can't see very well. Are you still wearing your Bama shirt? I can't.
I might be next week.
Look, for me, it's simple. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Nick Saban, since 2014, covers 63% of the time as a double-digit favorite against Power 5 opponents. Bama will be going against a one-dimensional Florida offense that's run-heavy. Quarterbacks Anthony Richardson and Emory Jones have been very inconsistent in the passing games, 4 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. And look, Nick Saban has harped all week about the Bama. They've only played 2 good quarters all season. I think they put in a complete game. They pull away in the second half and remain the odds-on favorite to win the national championship. I got Bama -14.5. I'm sure you both will disagree.
Well, listen, I mean, you just said it yourself. Alabama's only played 2 good quarters, and that really backs up what Saban said at the beginning of the week. 17 penalties already this season. There are problems on this team, and mostly they are in the trench. Florida has an advantage on both sides of the ball. They can dictate their terms, especially on defense. They're 7th in pass rush. That's going up against a Bama offensive line that is 85th in pass blocking. And you say, well, that's going to put a lot of pressure on Bryce Young. He's had 10 attempts over 20 yards this season. He's only completed 1 of them. So there is a major advantage for Florida and Todd Grantham, the defensive coordinator, bringing the heat. And really the big story is Emory Jones and Anthony Richardson, the dual threat quarterbacks for Florida. And Brett mentioned that it's they have one play call, and that's true. But in college football, if you can't stop it, you can get beat all day. Ask Army. And right now, Florida's offensive line is 2nd in the nation in line yards. Alabama lost Christopher Allen for the season. Their other edge rusher, Will Anderson, is dinged up with a knee. This is a front 7 from Alabama that can be attacked, and Florida has the ingredients to do that. Give me the team that dominates in the trench. Give me Florida in the points.
Yeah, I guess I got to break the tie here, and I am going to side with Florida. It's more of a numbers play for me. It's hard to rate Florida. They lost so much from that team, that lost by under a touchdown in the SEC championship game. But I just have to trust my numbers. I mean, look, Florida played Florida Atlantic and South Florida. I mean, how much can you really take from those games? But what you can take is that Anthony Richardson, aka AR-15, is a difference maker. If he's fully healthy, and I'm assuming that he's going to be, he's electric. He's a walking explosive play. I make this closer to 11. I came into this week saying, look, if I can get over 2 touchdowns with Florida, I'm going to take them. I'm surprised we haven't seen your Roll Tide sign, Brett, but
you just
again, I'll have, you just did. We'll do another shirt bet where I'll wear my Alabama gear, and you're going Florida if Florida covers. But yeah, I'm rolling anything over 2 touchdowns. I think the play is Florida. This might look like an offense we used to see with Dan Mullen and Dak Prescott if he unleashes Richardson today, when Prescott would run the ball 25, 30 times. So give me the Gators over 2 touchdowns.
Let's see if the public will tie this one up. We did do a poll on this game. Let's take a look. Public is sticking with Bama with 65% of the votes. So this one looks like to be a tie, but our next one is a big one. 22nd ranked Auburn heads into Happy Valley to face 10th ranked Penn State, who are in a hunt to win the Big Ten after opening the season with a statement win over Wisconsin. So this will be Auburn's first true test of the season. Collin, you have pointed out how much being back in a packed stadium is affecting teams this year, and Auburn has to go into the toughest college football environment there is. How do you think they will do?
Yeah, I mean, this is a tough environment for Auburn. This is not Alabama State. This is not Akron. The game's going to be decided by 2 quarterbacks that have been wildly inconsistent over the previous years. Bo Nix right now has the highest adjustment completion percentage of any quarterback in the Power 5. but I think one thing that you need to take away from that Alabama State box score last week is that he had 2 turnover worthy plays. That tells me that maybe he is still making decisions that aren't completely, keeping his team out of harm. We'll see if he tries to, make passes that aren't there today against a really ferocious Penn State defense that has already proven it against Wisconsin. Sean Clifford, on the other hand, he's been excellent under new offensive coordinator Mike Yurcich. They've called 39 play action and screen passes. He has an 87% adjustment completion rate in those screen passes and in those play action passes. I expect Yurcich just throw the kitchen sink at this Auburn defense. Clifford is the one that has not had a turnover worthy play yet. He's the one that has proven that he's better at quarterback, more stable at quarterback, and one you can trust your money with. Bo Nix on the road, I'm just not ready for it. Give me Penn State minus the points. Low play for me today.
Yeah, Collin, you said Bo Nix and his stats so far this year. I mean, look who he's played, and he's played both games at home. He's had, for his career, he has 22 touchdowns and 3 interceptions at home. On the road, 10 touchdowns, 10 interceptions. Unfortunately, I make this game right around 6. It's a no play for me. I'm excited to watch it. Maybe we'll have something live or in the second half. But it's a great day for the spectacle of college football with fans being back. First, Alabama at the Swamp, and then a whiteout at Penn State. But there's no pregame play for me here, so I'll toss it to Mr. 8-3 to see if he can come up with a winner for us.
Thank you, Stuckey. Look, Brian, I think not a lot has been made of this, but this is Brian Harson's first road trip as Auburn's head coach. The biggest road crowd he's ever coached in front of, 50,000 at Florida State in 2019. Not exactly intimidating crowd. He'll face twice that much tonight in Happy Valley. It will be an unreal atmosphere. And like Stuckey said, you compare Bo Nix split at home compared to road. I mean, Bo Nix has been Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Horrible. I mean, it's been that bad on the road. 10 touchdowns, 10 interceptions. And also James Franklin, 4-1 as a home favorite when laying less than 7 points. I like the Nittany Lions. To paraphrase Dorothy, I apologize in advance. Nittany Lions over Tigers, oh my. Nittany Lions over Tigers, oh my. Give me Penn State.
James Franklin's got to beef up that USC contract coming down the pipeline, right? Big win here today.
That's fair.
Him and everybody
else. This next
else.
one, Brett, I know you like this one. Number 23 ranked BYU. They do have a chance to win consecutive games against ranked opponents as they host number 19 ranked Arizona State as a home dog. Collin, BYU moved up by 18 in your power rankings. That's the second largest jump. So are you challenging Brett on his best bet of the day?
I am challenging. Listen, this is I know it's a hangover spot, but this is a Kalani Sitake team that is a ground-based. They love to own the clock, time of possession. It's the same theme every week. And, they had a monster 63% success rate on the ground and 6 explosive plays on the ground against Utah, which I thought was unfathomable at the beginning of the season. That's not good news for an Arizona State rush defense that's 97th in line yards. And what that means is teams are able to get 1st and 10, 2nd and 7, 3rd and 4. They're having successful plays, especially on the ground. And as for Arizona State in the offense, the Sun Devils are 65th in havoc allowed. Jaden Daniels is in trouble. He's got pressure all the time. And if you need like a really specific stat on that, UNLV and Southern Utah are horrible. And they generated 10 tackles for loss against that Arizona State offensive line. I get it's a hangover spot, but give me BYU in the points here.
Yeah, before we get to Brett, I'm going to help build his case because I disagree here. I mean, yes, it's a bad spot for BYU emotionally. Look, they ended that 9-game losing streak to their rival Utah in the Holy War. A potential emotional letdown, but they're at home with fans. I'd be more worried about the physical toll that game took on them. I mean, Algier, their running back, had 27 carries. Arizona State, I will grant you, is a tough team to handicap because last year, they only played a handful of games. This year, they played 2 cupcake opponents. But coming into the season, I was super high on them. I had them rated higher than Utah, who was laying 7 at BYU last week. I obviously bumped BYU, but I thought that game was more about, hey, look, Utah doesn't have receivers and can't throw the ball. BYU still allowed 7.7 yards per rush in that game. Arizona State has one of the most dynamic rushing attacks in the country. I think that's ultimately going to be the difference. And don't sleep on the Arizona State defense. You don't normally think of Arizona State in defense, but I think they have one of the most underrated defensive units in the country. It's basically just all seniors and super seniors. They'll miss their defensive lineman, Lole, who had tricep surgery in August, but this is a loaded, experienced unit. I think they can contain BYU. Their rushing attack will eventually be the difference. I think they get it done. Every point matters. Try to wait for a 3 here. All Herm Edwards does is play close games, but give me the Sun Devils.
Preach, Stuckey, preach. You are the world's greatest handicapper in games not involving Alabama. I already gave you my reasons why I like Arizona State. Look, they sleptwalked through games against Southern Utah and UNLV. And like Stuckey said, having to play their third consecutive Power 5 opponent, BYU's still a group of 5 school. I don't think they're as deep as a lot of other schools. Give me the Sun Devils.
All right. Mixing it up, a lot of these bets, you guys are going head to head. Next one, we have a rivalry game as third-ranked Oklahoma hosts Nebraska as a 22.5-point favorite. This is a must-win for Scott Frost, who's 0-8 against ranked opponents as the Cornhuskers head coach. Oklahoma is a playoff favorite, but they aren't as consistent this year. Collin, do you think that Nebraska is able to take advantage of this, or is Scott Frost's job still on the chopping block?
Well, there definitely is a buy low, sell high narrative around this game, with Oklahoma beating Western Carolina 76-0, just a helpless FCS team that had no shot, and Nebraska, who everybody's still reeling off of that Illinois loss. But let's think about this. I mean, that Illinois loss was due to turnovers, special teams, average starting field position. It wasn't because of the defense. Illinois only averaged 3.5 yards per carry, and it wasn't because of the yards per play battle, which Nebraska also won. So the box score says that, there was a little bit of a fraud in the amount of points that Illinois was able to put up. Since then, Nebraska's defense is putting up black shirts type rankings, 16th in pass coverage, 7th in tackling. Those are both very important against OU and their explosive targets. Defensive coordinator Eric Shenander is blitzing at a frenetic pace of 35%. This is going to be a challenge for Spencer Rattler, who has more turnover-worthy plays than big-time throws to this point in the season. That's crazy considering they played Western Carolina. Cornhusker investors like myself, we have to get a clean game out of Adrian Martinez. He has not had an interception or lost a fumble over the last 2 games against Fordham and Buffalo. But the Oklahoma defense, they lead the nation in forced fumbles. This spread is a touchdown higher than the Action Network projections. So I think they're taking that into account, that we're going to have a mistake by Adrian Martinez that's going to turn into easy points for OU. But I'm taking the points, and my fingers are crossed that Adrian Martinez has a clean game.
I mean, yeah, you better cross your fingers hard for that. But I look, sometimes the line is just about right. I mean, I personally make this right over 3 touchdowns. If I got over 24, if this line keeps moving, I would look at Nebraska. But this is primarily a pass for me, I feel, for Nebraska fans. Although you're going into this game with nothing to lose, so who knows? But this is nothing for me. This game is right in Brett's wheelhouse, so I'll throw it to him. What do you got here, Brett?
Yeah, look, I'm sad to say I'm the only one on this show that was alive when the 71 game was played. Here's a quick history lesson for you young folks. Number 1, Nebraska defeated number 2, Oklahoma 35-31 in what is considered the best college football game of all time. Here's some more recent history. In March, I reported Nebraska was actually trying to replace Oklahoma on the schedule with Old Dominion or another group of 5 patsy. Fortunately, the Huskers' faithful fan base rallied and pressured Nebraska to play in this game. But how drastic is it? We go from game of the century to not even best game in the noon window. That's how far Nebraska has fallen. Scott Frost even admitted this week, we have a lot to gain and very little to lose. Oh, they're going to lose, all right. But I think they're going to lose by less than 21, kind of some of the things that Collin mentioned. Give me Nebraska plus 22.5, and we can just dream about the old days of Huskers and Sooners while watching this very lopsided game.
Yeah, there's high stakes on both ends. Scott Frost still wanting to keep his job, and Oklahoma trying to make a playoff contention. But we do have a regional showdown with this last one. Cincinnati continues to prove that they can compete with a Power 5 conference, as they are a 3.5-point road favorite against Indiana. Collin, you've talked a lot about how much you like Cincy. Do you think that they can pull off a statement win on the road in Indy?
Well, I think what's interesting is nobody in the world has an Indiana ticket. I even got a call from my 88-year-old grandmother this week asking me if she can get a new refrigerator out of Cincinnati this week. I mean, that's how much love there is around the Bearcats. And you have to ask, has the hate gone too far in Indiana? Michael Penix Jr. isn't getting any support from his skill positions or his offensive line. And despite a success rate and explosive mark that's outside the top 100, Indiana is top 20 in finishing drives. And that is points per attempt past the 40-yard line. We did a piece on Action Network over the summer that directly linked finishing drives to against the spread covers. It's a big stat, and Indiana's top 20 in scoring once they get past the 40-yard line. There are issues in Cincinnati's games against Miami of Ohio and Murray State. The Bearcats are 114th in pass blocking, putting Desmond Ridder on the run, and they're near dead last in special teams, which could play a big factor here today. The perception is that Cincinnati should be favored by a touchdown and that it's easy money. Even the Action Network projections make this game just 4. So I'm going to roll with Indiana here in a market that is screaming for the Hoosiers.
Yeah, I would agree with your sentiment that I don't know anyone that's on Indiana. I keep getting texts from people that never text me about college football saying, like, shouldn't I just lay it with Cincinnati? How are they not going to win by 2 touchdowns? But that's not enough for me to play Indiana here. What I do like in this game is the under 50. I'm surprised this hasn't come down yet. When I look at this game, Cincinnati, 2 excellent defenses, by the way, but Indiana can't run the ball, and I don't know how they're going to throw in Cincinnati's secondary, and I'm not sure that Penix is fully healthy yet. I mean, we all saw that Iowa game. They didn't really even move it against Idaho last week. I know he didn't play the whole game. They had a couple special teams touchdowns, but this offense right now is ugly, and now you're going up against Cincinnati. That's a recipe for disaster. On the other side of the ball, this Indiana defense is excellent. They can contain the Cincinnati offense. I think this is a lower scoring game. Give me the under.
Collin, can't you buy your grandmother a freaking refrigerator? Jesus.
That's what you got out of that?
That's what I got out of it. Poor grandmother's, scraping nickels together to play Cincinnati, and she's going to lose it all on the Bearcats.
That's because he keeps betting UMass. That's why he can't afford a refrigerator.
Yeah, love UMass.
UMass. Look, we've got mighty Cincinnati from the American against little old upstart Indiana from the Big Ten. The Bearcats have won 31 games the last 3 seasons and are a trendy pick to reach the college football playoff. Collin keeps pushing Desmond Ridder for the Heisman Trophy. Even Luke Fickell has been linked to the USC job. This just in, every coach in America has been linked to the USC job. But look, this is basically the big bad Bearcats are laying 3.5 at Indiana. Despite Cincinnati's recent success, they're only 1-4 as a road favorite. Give me the plucky little fighting Tom Allens to win outright against Cincinnati and destroy the Bearcats' college football playoff hopes and Desmond Ridder's Heisman hopes. Sorry, Collin, go buy your grandmother a refrigerator.
Whoever wins that one has to buy the refrigerator. Lots of good games in today's Havoc. And now it's time for the Moneyline Round Robin. You guys know the drill. A round robin is a series of smaller parlays made up from a larger list of teams that you select. So the more games you pick, the more parlay combinations you can create. And I'm pretty excited to hear what you guys have come up with for today's round robin. Collin, can you get us started?
Yeah, let's go with the Miami Hurricanes. There's not a lot of short home favorites on the board today. So we're going to go with a little bit more of a juicier one to anchor this Moneyline round robin parlay. Let's go with Miami. If you're looking for buy low, sell high territory, Michigan State has got everybody's attention, while Miami is just struggling with things that are coachable, like tackling fundamentals, things of that sort that Rhett Lashley and Manny Diaz are going to get under control. The heat is going to play a factor here. Take Miami straight up to start this parlay.
Yeah, I'm surprised Michigan State's getting so much love in the market. I mean, we see what the market thinks of Northwestern, and we're giving Michigan State all that credit just for that win, basically. So I agree there. I'll throw a small favorite in West Virginia at home, country roads. I think, speaking of getting too much credit, I think Virginia Tech is getting too much credit for that win over North Carolina. Conference game, season opener at home. North Carolina, all those new weapons, missing their center. They still can't throw it downfield. I think West Virginia's defense matches up very well. Vatek also lost their star tight end. I think Vatek does enough to get the win at home. Just give me the ears.
Yeah, I'll roll right into Memphis. Memphis is a short underdog to Mississippi State, and that line may look a little suspect, but there's 2 things going on at play here. Mississippi State's on the road up to the Liberty Bowl, and they got their minds on LSU for next week, and they are one of the worst third down conversion teams in the nation. And if Memphis is able to get any stops, they're going to get some points up on the board. They have a freshman quarterback that's thrown 1 billion touchdowns. He hasn't had 1 turnover-worthy play yet this year. They put up a 50-burger on Arkansas State last week. This is a team that is generating a lot of points at a very high tempo. Mississippi State, their troubles on third down on both sides of the ball are going to show out here today in a look-ahead spot. Give me the Tigers in this round robin.
Let's go to the island next. We'll start getting into some real dogs here. And give me Hawaii money line against San Jose State. I think the San Jose State offense is really going to miss their 2-star receivers that declared for the NFL draft from last year's team. You know, that game against USC now looks a lot worse after we saw what USC did against Stanford. Hawaii's just a different team on the island. New offensive coordinator. You saw the offense kind of start to get going in the second half last week against Oregon State. I think they carry some of that momentum over. Weird things happen on the island. Give me Hawaii.
Let's stick with home underdogs facing teams that are on the road for the first time. I've hammered at home about BYU. Despite Brett and Stuckey's stance, we're going to throw them in this money line parlay right here. Expect that running game of BYU to be on the attack all game.
Completely disagree there, but you might agree with this one. We'll go Vandy. This is ugly. Hold your nose. Vandy at home against Stanford. I think Stanford's getting too much love here in the market, so there's some value in Vanderbilt, and it's just an awful spot for Stanford. Similar to Arkansas, they're coming off a huge upset win. They just beat USC. Now, after this week, they have 3 ranked conference opponents up next. Potential to come out a little flat here. I think they're getting too much love. Hold your nose. Give me Vandy.
Yeah, 100% agree on Vandy, especially Clark Lee, who's coached against David Shaw's offenses for years while he was at Notre Dame. I'm going to do the last one with Temple. That is stinky. It is gross. I don't like Temple. I didn't think I'd ever have a play on them this year, but why is Boston College giving up 28 points to UMass? And not only that, Boston College was fielding a backup quarterback last week, and they had tons of success in passing downs and in passing. This is back-to-back road travel for Jeff Hafley's team, losing their quarterback for the season, and they got to look ahead to Missouri and then a full conference slate. I don't think they care about this game. This is a nice little spot for Temple to get a win.
Now a $10 bet at WynnBET on those 7 teams pays over $13,000. So take Collin and Stuckey's advice to round robin these by 2s and 3s. Also, you guys, we've been saying it on the show for a couple of weeks now, but you could be heard on the show next week. Make sure you call in on our Bad Beat hotline at 959-BAD-B and tell us your thoughts on all the action today. We love hearing them, and they put them on the podcast too. And thank you guys for joining us for week 3. You guys can follow all of our picks, anything that we did not mention from the show. All of Collin, Stuckey, and Brett's picks will be available on the Action Network app. And make sure you check out the Big Bets on Campus podcast. That drops throughout the week. Good luck today, guys, and we will see you next week on the Big Bets on Campus Live.